Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward, the podcast that reveals how to plan, achieve, and enjoy the journey of creating epic results in your life, business, health, and relationships. Here's your host, best-selling author and motivational speaker, Zander Sprague.
Hello, epic people, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Zander Sprague, and today I am so honored to be joined by Manal El-Ramly. Manal, tell us who you are and what you do.
Fabulous. Hello, Zander. It's so exciting. I keep saying epic, but I don't want to overuse the word epic, but I don't think you can.
No, I don't think so either.
It's so epic to be here. And I'm really excited to see how our energies meet during today's interview and conversation and how your listeners enjoy. But who am I? The simplest answer, Zander, is I am. I am. And that answer unifies all of us and it gets to the bottom line. But in terms of a person, in terms of my journey, in terms of my story, I sort of have been like, you know how you taste and you try to figure out how do you sort of frame yourself to give a fingerprint. I'm engineer mind meets spiritual guide. I have a very analytic approach because of my mechanical engineering degrees. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and my dad is the engineer and very analytical and lowest common denominator and root cause. And how do you look at this from a analytical process mind? But I've also have always been a seeker. I've always been like asking, questioning. Why?
Yep.
Why? Who am I? Who are you? Why is your experience different? And why is it even relevant when we connect to each other to say who we are? And it's not just our energies, our life, our vitality that speaks for who we are. So I've always been a seeker, and that seeker was since a child. I can remember as long as I remember. And the answers have come through religion. I've heavily studied, and I don't want to use the word heavily, but I've studied with a lot of curiosity is better. All of the major religions. I have read fiction. I am a reader, and all fiction is actually nonfiction, and it talks to what the elements of life is. During my professional, which I still consider myself a professional, but during my professional career, all of the books, Malcolm Gladwell and Good to Great and all of these things, E-Myth, all of these amazing nonfiction books that talk to us about the operations of the mind, and they all meet. And so I feel like I embody why, and I give a very easy, clean framework. So I'm a life coach. I'm a meditation teacher on Insight Timer. I've done a TED Talk on stop searching, stop looking for your purpose. We are our purpose. I wrote a book, Transcending Anxiety from Fear to Freedom. And I'm just opening up my expression to share the beauty and the celebration of the human journey with the world.
And one thing I want to share with you is for years, I'm a big believer that sometimes the things that we need to make part of ourselves are maybe a phrase or something. We print it out and we put it somewhere where we see it every day. And even though you may not consciously go, oh, hey, there's that saying, your brain is still seeing it. You're still processing it. And one of the things I know as an entrepreneur and just, as a person, one of those questions all the time is, how do I do this? How do I achieve this? How do I get this thing that I desire? And I came up with this, I don't know, 15 years ago. So up on my mirror, it says, how do I ... I already am. Meaning the question is, I'm already, the fact that I'm asking how means I already have the answer. And look, sometimes it takes a while to find the actual, how do I do this? But that's okay. There's a lot of learning that goes on in the struggle. Have you ever read The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle? That might be a book that really would resonate with you. He just talks about how when we learn something, it's kind of around the 10,000 hours, but that we have to practice. And when we're struggling to learn something, that's actually where the most learning happens versus you just try something and you're able to do it right away. There's not a lot of neural connection. Talks about the neural connections and myelin sheath of the superhighway to do something. So I like that book, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like I love to break things down for my clients and stuff like that, because I think all too often we take these complex things and we go, oh, it's so hard. And I'm like, I guess also being a history major along with being a psychology major, I look and go, history's important. And if we observe it, we're not doomed to repeat it. And something like handwriting. Remember when you were in kindergarten, first grade, learning how to write an A, a B, a C, so challenging. And now there's barely any like conscious like thinking. You may be, oh, how do I spell that? But you're not like, how do I make an A? How do I make a B, etc. And you like that, don't you?
I love it because the opening of my book says it's hard until it's not. It's hard until it is not. And yes, riding a bike is hard. Rollerblading is hard. Your writing is hard. Reading is hard. Talking is hard. Even one of the things that just really was so curious when I was a mother, teaching to sleep and eating and nursing is hard until it's not. And so I always say, let's get to it is not together. Let's overcome, whether it's that 10,000, because I've heard of the concept of the talent code, whether it's that 10,000 hours or less or more, let's just get to it's not, and not focus on the hard, but focus on the pleasure, the process, the journey of it without being so cliche. But I also want to say something else to what you said, Zander, when you were talking about the how to and dot.
Yeah.
One of the things I love attraction and manifestation. I love it. And I think when we get root to it, I believe we're vibrational beings, and we can talk about in the spiritual woo-woo area like way. And I believe that we're spiritual, and I believe that it meets religion, that because you believe in a supreme something. And whether it's energy, vibration, God, it's all the same thing. One of the most amazing parts of manifestation is when I realized you don't need to know the how. You don't ask the how. You actually just invite the desire and step back and allow the universe to serendipitously bring and deliver the desire through its how.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now, can you expand on that a little for people who I totally get it, but there may be people listening going, all right. What exactly does that mean? Invite it in, and it's like I assume that we're talking kind of about put it out to the universe that this is something that you want, desire, need, however you want to put it.
Yes. What is it that we usually desire? Success.
Right.
Relationship.
Yep.
Money.
Yep.
So those are the health. So it's the three things are usually something to do with the body, which is our health, strength, lose weight, something to do our self-image, something to do with relationships, wanting love, a partner, maybe something with our family or friends, and some sort of form of success, whether it's to write a book, make money, or our career, whatever it might be. It's in those three. Now, I'm going to say an aside. I love law of attraction, but when I do my teaching, I usually stay away from that because I believe that that's so external and it's all about the internal calibration. And those three, whether it's health, success, relationship, money, it's all of our desire. And I'm putting my hand up here in the egoic body to recognize our infinite and unconditional worthiness. Why do we want a job? To show that we're good enough. Why do we want to be the president or the CEO or have a bank account full of money? Because we want to show that we're successful. And instead of us knowing it internally that, hey, I'm worthy, it's like, oh, my car, that Porsche 911, it's going to show that I am really worthy. Or that relationship that instead of recognizing, I am love. Hey, I am love. I am joy. I am happiness, that we need, quote unquote, a relationship, whether it's a partner, whether it's our friends, whether it's our parents, whether it's our children, to show and say, oh, you're so lovable. You're so love. But we are love. And ultimately, the money, the career, what it could be, it's also, we think that it's going to give us our freedom and our travel, but ultimately we are free. So put it to the side that I like us to internally calibrate rather than externally calibrate. But we are humans on this amazing human journey, and we're creators. We're here to manifest and create. So if I think of why we are here to create, to have fun, to enjoy this human experience. And manifestation, after we internally calibrate, is one of the greatest joys and pleasure. And so let's invite something. What should we invite? What should we invite? Zander, what should we invite?
I'm going to say that because one of the things I talk about in my book, which I think is so important when people are on their epic journey, is the fact that oftentimes these epic things that we'd like to do in our life, be it write a book, run a marathon, travel somewhere, it takes time. And for me, I think the two most powerful words to keep in mind for it to be your passenger are not yet. Have you finished your book? Not yet. Doesn't mean that you aren't going to. Just means you're working on it. It takes time. I went to graduate school at 45. I'm now a licensed professional clinical counselor. That was a long journey between graduate school, getting the internship to be able to take the exam to get licensed, right? Are you licensed? Not yet. Doesn't mean if I just said no, it makes it sound like it will never happen. So my question for you in this whole manifestation is, what are one or two of your not yets? Those things that you dream of doing, but they just haven't happened.
Okay, so my not yet. So I'm going to take our translation. So
absolutely.
We'll go translation. My not yet is a time that's best for your highest good, allowing or creating. So that writing that book, when we're doing it from a place of should and a place of trying to validate our worthiness, it is going to take a very long time and feel very sluggish.
Yes.
It's going to feel like a chore. And that's the same as doing my dishes, doing my laundry, making my bed, whatever it might be. If I'm doing it from a place of should, place of guilt, place of it actually demonstrating my sense of worth, my giving me my happiness, the belief that it's going to ultimately give me my freedom, it's going to take a long time and it's going to be painful. If we're doing it from a place of, I am just so excited with life and I am just wanting to share, I am happy, and we're calibrated, and it's not filling the internal, it's a source of external joy because the internal is full. That's sort of what the language that I use. And so what is my not yet? My not yet is I have some picture books that I'm working on. I have a second book that I'm working on. And I imagine, Zander, I sort of like put my hands in my eyes, which demonstrates like this, like not good enough or shame or something. Be on stage. I imagine like going and being on stage, not to be on stage, but to be in a room full of like-minded people and to raise the roof. Like what we're doing on this podcast, I imagine traveling the world and raising the roof with like-minded people so we all can calibrate to that joy, the excitement, the epic nature of life.
Oh, and I'm so with you. I'm so with you, Manal, because, one of my not yets is a stadium full of people who are ready for their epic journey. They're so excited to be there and all of that energy. And I too, look, I love being on stage. That's my happy place. I often say that's some of my life juice is the days I get to be on stage in front of an audience is great. And, because of COVID, and even though, lots of virtual conferences and I'm doing I have to record a talk that will be in a virtual conference. And although I'm honored to be asked, it is so much more challenging to go give a 30-minute speech, have all the energy that clearly you and I both have on camera, our excitement, but not have the feedback from the audience. I was doing a speech a couple of years ago, I had to record it, and there was some funny things that I was saying. And so I'm pausing, pause for the laughter, but I don't know how long the laughter is. So either I start to talk and people are still laughing, or people are like, is there a problem with his audio? Why is he not talking? Right. And you don't know. Whereas when you're live, you're like, oh, the audience is liking that. They're vibing off of what I got to say. Great. I'll go more with that. Or, oh, that's not quite, wow, the audience doesn't seem to be picking up that. All right, let me shift it. Right. So yeah, I totally get like, let's fill stadiums and rock the roof off.
I have a feeling we're going to be on stage together at some point.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
I have that feeling.
Although I do have to say, between your energy and my energy, people might be like, whoa. If there were sort of that color of energy, people would be like, there's this wall of energy that I'm not quite sure what to do with. But no, it's all good. And that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, one of the things that I talk about, and you sort of touched on, but it's that things that we desire. You were talking about driving the Porsche 911 and stuff like that. And my experience in some of my epic adventures and journeys is that I know I'll give an example. When I finished my first marathon, it was like something I had bucket list. I'd always wanted to do it. And I was so excited. Probably about a half hour afterwards, I was like, now what? Right? I mean, I had achieved this thing. I'd worked so hard to achieve it. But oftentimes, we will say, oh, if only I could get that promotion, if I could drive this car, if I could do it. But once we get it, okay, now we have it. We're excited for a moment, but you're like, all right, now I'm just driving a car. I mean, no matter how fabulous a car is, it's a car.
Mm-hmm.
Be it a Honda or a Porsche. They really all sort of they do the same thing and drive pretty similar. I mean, it's not like a Porsche has, you do hook something up to your brain and it just sort of brings you where you want to go. So how do you, when in the work that you do, like, okay, I achieved this goal that I wanted, but now what? How do I keep having the satisfaction? Because again, it's not nearly, look, finishing the marathon was awesome. I don't want to downplay it, but it was, I don't know, fleeting.
Mm-hmm. I understand your question so well, Zander. And I'm going to just say something on a segue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Regarding the marathon, I am so happy that it was never on my bucket list. It was something I'm almost like, why are you guys doing this? And I know people who have done so many marathons, but that's just my funny aside.
Yeah.
Should we pause to let everybody laugh that one out?
Yeah.
But I asked question so frequently, and it wasn't just about the accomplishments and the external vices. I'm going to use the word vices, even though I don't really want to, but the external things. And it was also about relationships, because there was a point where I understood that anything that you feel, I'm going to put in quotes for the listeners, triggers that we have, it's not about the person across from you. It's about you. It's your internal. Because ultimately, it's called my red sweater theory.
Yep.
If I say to you right now, Zander, that red looks awful on you.
Yeah.
You're going to look at your shirt and say, Manal, this is black. You're out for lunch. But if I say to you, that black does not do you anything, Zander, you might have some self-doubt. So anything that we doubt, that we hear from someone external to us, only exists if we have that uncertainty, that sort of shakiness within us. So it's that my red sweater theory. So ultimately, when we talk about, so I'm like, why if I'm fine on my own, but anytime I get triggered, it's about me, not about them. What are relationships for then? Because then I should be growing internally, and when I'm myself, I don't annoy myself, and other people annoy. So it's like, what are relationships for? And then the same thing is like, okay, if we're supposed to be happy regardless of the Porsche, and sorry if we're picking on Porsches, I think they're lovely cars.
They are. But,
Yeah.
you know.
And I'm going to turn around. I had one, and I'm going to turn around. Why I'm going to buy another one when I think it's this? It's that we're internally satisfied. It's not the Porsche that's giving me my self-worth and giving me my value and giving my freedom. It's not the bank account. I'm already calibrated to knowing I am infinitely amazing and infinitely worthy and infinitely free and infinitely loved. And I recognize that anything that I experience within my life is to help me calibrate and grow and to expand, and that we will never, ever feel infinitely worthy, love, and free until the day that we die. So it's just part of the human experience. And then when I drive and desire the Porsche, it's because I love the purr of that engine.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no other car that I have driven, and I've driven a lot of beautiful cars that have the same beautiful purr.
Sure.
It is a purr. And you can get in an Audi, and the Audi has this strong power.
It does.
It's just this, you can't get into another car other than an Audi. And then I hope this isn't controversial. I love Tesla. I love the technology, and there is no car that has the technology and the smart features as a Tesla. So it's for the joy of the technology and the joy of the purr and the joy of the marathon and the joy of the relationship and how they amplify not the internal, but they provide external happiness, but I'm already internally calibrated to my inherent internal worthiness, love, and freedom. So it's just a vehicle for enjoying and enhancing our human physical experience, but it has nothing to do with my innate value. And that's how we separate it.
Absolutely. And there are two things that popped into my head. First of all, there's a famous quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that no one can make you feel bad without your permission.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole example of like
red sweater,
yes. Right? You know, and it's funny how someone walking down the street could say, that sweater's ugly. You don't know them. And you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Right. I don't know you, whatever. But your partner, your friend, whatever goes,
your
mom.
mom.
Oh, that isn't good, right? That doesn't look good on you. And then you're like, oh my God. But I also, and I do, it's one of those, I'll say, eternal questions that I notice. I notice it in myself and with people that I work with, which the meanest person in our life is ourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and what you're talking about is you should be your number one cheerleader. You should really love you, because the fact of the matter is you can't get love if you don't love yourself, if you don't feel that you're worthy, if the things that you say to yourself on a daily basis as you're trying to be successful or try and achieve something is you're going to fail, you're not good enough, you're not going to do it. We all have that. That is part of the human experience. Okay, that's part of consciousness is some self-doubt. But then saying, no, I am going to achieve it. Maybe today I didn't get as much done as I'd hoped, but I'm still taking one step forward. And that's really how it happens. I can tell you, having run 10 halves, 4 fulls, and a 50K ultra, I don't run nearly as much. It's not easy. And there are miles there that are really, really hard. But throughout all of that experience, and I am not a fast runner, trust me, but I knew I was going to finish. If I had to crawl across that finish line, I was going to finish. And I think that's like any challenging thing that we're doing. You just believe that you can do it. Whether you have look, we don't have all the answers to everything. And I have to say, I laugh because I look at the psychology of people living their life every day, right? I got up this morning. I do not have all the answers to everything that will be asked of me today, but it didn't prevent me from getting out of bed. And yet, when I'm working with people or you're working with people and there's something that they're trying to achieve, be it spiritual or, job, love, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I don't know exactly all the steps to take to write the book.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've written 3 books. I'm a talker, not a typer. If you asked me in college whether I'd write a book, I'd be like, absolutely not. I hate writing. What are you talking about? And yet I had something to say. So I sat down and figured out how I could write a book. So I think, first of all, be kind to yourself, people. Don't be the meanest person in your life. And also be a cheerleader. If you don't believe in you, no one else is. We don't turn on the TV. We'll pick on Porsche just one more time. Porsche doesn't say, buy our car. By the way, every time you need an oil change, it's $1,000. And after 50,000 miles, the transmission may fall out on the ground. And they don't advertise that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how advertising goes. Hey, this is an awesome car. Listen to it purr. You get to join the Porsche Club of America and hang out with other people who love Porsche and wear Porsche hats and satin Porsche jackets and all, that's how we sell stuff. So why are we not selling ourselves the same way? Let me tell you about the good things about me. Yeah, we all have bad things, but we're not out there going, hold on, come on my podcast. I talk way too much and might not let you talk enough. And, I have really inane stories and, go off on tangents and so, but come on my podcast, right? That's not how I'm going to get a guest. Let's talk about everything epic. I want to share my epic. I want you to share your epic, right?
Okay, I love all of this. I love it all. And I'm going to, again, translate it into Manal speak, Matane speak, okay?
There you go.
Okay, let's translate it because you got epic speak and we got Matane speak.
We
First
do.
of all, let me say what Matane means, okay? My name is Manal, and in Arabic, that means, my parents are Egyptian. I'm a purebred Egyptian. In Egyptian, Manal means attainment.
Mhm.
So I called my company, this coaching company that's helping people find their empowerment, Matane. So I put the M in front of Matane, and it's about attaining the life you desire.
Definitely.
And okay, so attaining the life you desire. So Matane speak would say, not even self-love. I'm going to go a step further. We are love.
Mhm.
You are love. I am love. We are love. We are innately, unconditionally, infinitely worthy, love, and free.
Mhm.
This is what we are. So it's not even like, it's just reclaim the truth of who you are. So you don't even, it's not an action that you need to do. It's a realization. It's a realization of our truth.
Mhm.
And then I love so much, Zander, how you're talking about one step at a time. And you're talking about, I'm not yet, because all of this is what you're saying is, it's all in the journey. We are
Absolutely.
human beings experiencing this human journey. Enjoy the journey. And the fact that we're creators / manifestors / makers, it means that we're doing. It's not done. Everything can't be done because if everything's done, what are we doing? So if my cake is
Yeah.
if my cake is already baked, because at first I thought I was a fake, right? I'm a fraud because I'm going on there and talking and yeah, I wrote my book, but oh no, I don't have like my million this and I don't have this and I don't have, and I'm like, Manal, stop it. Stop going down on what you haven't done and recognize that you're on a journey and it doesn't matter when your journey started and when it ends, that we're on a journey, and honor the creation whenever you're inspired to create. So what you're saying with your epic, one step forward, not yet. It's like listeners, clients, followers, people. We're human and we're here for the joy of being here. And if joy means running a marathon, go for it. If joy means driving a beautiful Porsche, go for it. Joy means living by the lake or the ocean or the trees or the forest or the city. Go for it. Joy means you're on stage and you're like singing and dancing with other people. Go for it and enjoy the baking of the cake, which means not yet. It's still baking. 1 minute, 1 moment, 1 step at a time.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. Manal, this has been incredible. So fast the time goes when you're with like-minded people. How can people get a hold of you? How can they maintain a little more?
Oh. My website, www.matane.me. And if you put a / join us, then you become part of the Matane tribe and you'll get some goodies. So I invite you. On social media, it's Matane by Manal, Mattain by Manal, Manal. Insight Timer. I love my Insight Timer community. Absolutely love them. And there it's Manal, Manal / Matane, Mattan. Because there I'm a person first, not a company first.
Got it.
Yeah, so you can find me there. So on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn as well. And just love to engage with, we're saying the same thing. It's just like, what are you driving and what am I driving?
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
It's like we're just driving different vehicles and speaking in different ways, but we're saying exactly the same thing. And we're both wearing black.
We are. Totally unplanned, people, but there we are.
Yes. And I didn't mention, my book as well. On Amazon, Transcending Anxiety from Fear to Freedom. We didn't talk about my framework, how a simple framework, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 steps, 4 bodies, 3 desires, 2 states, 1 truth. So we can talk about that another time, Zander, but that's another way. I didn't want to short sell the audience and the listeners not mentioning the book as well as a way to access a lot of the truths that I present.
Absolutely. And I will have a link to your website in the show description. Manal, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Truly an epic conversation.
Fabulous.
I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And as always, remember, epic choices lead to the epic life that you want.
Get your gift copy of the award-winning book, Epic Begins with One Step Forward, at epicbegins.com. That's a wrap on this episode of Epic Begins with One Step Forward with your host, Zander Sprague, best-selling author, internationally acclaimed public speaker, and licensed professional clinical counselor. To make your next conference or event epic, send an email to Zander at zander@epicbegins.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Remember, epic choices, epic life.